So I heard you guys want to go fast. After I posted my 100 runs of Dead Mines video last week, received several messages and posts requesting to know what a speed druid was, how do you make one, where do you get the gear for it, all of that. So I've put together a document that I've included on my Discord in the guides section channel. So if you want to check that out, it is there. Otherwise, I'll be going over in video format here. So we're going to be talking about the best races, consumables, professions, gearing it, all that good stuff over the course of this video. So let's start with level. So you really have two options for your level. You can be level 70 or 60, 61 for your choices here. 70 is going to be a little bit more of the expensive option, a little bit harder to farm for the gear. So the easier option is going to be to go with the level 61. But I will make a second video just in case you have leveled your druid up to 70 already and you don't want to start over a new druid. So for the races, you really have two best options. Some of the other races do have some movement speed abilities like the Goblin and their Rocket Jump, for example. But as far as just pure movement speed, like stat-wise, you have the Zandalari Troll for Horde. You can get the Abrasive Gonk. That'll increase your movement speed by 5%. Or you can go with the Night Elf, where you can get the Quickness racial, and that will provide a 2% movement speed. So next up, we're going to go into the gear. So for this, you're going to want to get your Heart of Azeroth necklace out of the bank, because we are going to be equipping 3 Azerite pieces, which have the Longstrider ability on them. If you're unfamiliar with the Longstrider, what that does is increase your movement speed up to a certain percentage based off your highest secondary stat. I like to stack Critical Strike. I feel like it's probably the easiest stat to get for that purpose. But if you have an easier time with Mastery, that's definitely an option too. So we're going to start with the head slot. So the head slot, your best option here would be the Flash Powder Hood. This comes off of the last boss in the Tel Dagor dungeon. Very easy to get that. You can either lock your experience at level 59 and farm these dungeons out yourself with a group, or you could get a friend to carry you through. The friend option is obviously the better option of the two, because it is going to be much quicker. So for our necklace slot, like I already mentioned, you're going to want your Heart of Azeroth. The Heart of Azeroth has a major power that you can get for it called the Ripple in Space. Ripple in Space, what that is, it will provide you a flat 5% movement speed buff, providing it is level 3. Next, we're going to move on to our shoulder slot, which is another Azerite piece. The item you want in this slot is going to be the Gold Tasseled Epaulets. This comes from the last boss in Freehold. Same sort of scenario, lock your experience, you can grind the dungeon out with a group through the group finder, or get somebody to run you through it. Next, we're going to be moving on to the back slot. That is the Shadow Laced Cloak. The Shadow Laced Cloak is a crafted item that can be upgraded to item level 233 by a crafter. My suggestion would be to just purchase it off the auction house. They're relatively cheap, all of these crafted items, and you want to search for one with plus speed on it, of course. Ideally, if these crafted items have a socket on them as well, you're going to want to get the socket to stack more critical strike with it. The next several items that we're going to be talking about are all crafted items from Shadowlands. All of these items can be upgraded to item level 233. The higher the item level, the higher the plus speed that can spawn on them. My suggestion would be to probably not craft them yourself and just purchase them through the auction house. They're not very expensive, and you can just sort out the items by speed. I do believe they can spawn with a socket on them as well if you're lucky. So if you can get something with a socket and plus speed, that would be the best case scenario. We're going to talk about the bracer slot next. It's going to be the Shade-bound Armor Guards with plus speed, of course, and we're going to get a Dragonflight enchant on that called Devotion of Speed. Next, we're going to move on to the hand slot. The hand slot is the Shade-bound Gauntlets with plus speed. The belt slot is the Shade-bound Wrist Guards with plus speed. And then the Shade-bound Greaves with plus speed. So it's basically a set, but not really a set. They're all the Shade-bound pieces that are crafted from Shadowlands. Next up, we're going to be talking about our boot slot. The boots are a crafted item as well, called the Fell Leather Boots. These boots always spawn with 2 sockets, and they are under eye level 50. Eye level 50, very important because the enchant you'll be putting on your boots is the minor speed enchant. This can only be placed on boots that are under eye level 50, so that's why the fell leather boots are the most ideal for the slot. The minor speed enchant provides you with a flat 10% movement speed. It's the fastest movement speed enchant for that slot that you can get in the game. Up next is the ring slot, both crafted items as well, the Deadly Sinvir ring and the versatile Selenium ring. These rings can spawn with sockets. They also can get plus speed on them, so those are your best options. Okay, up next are our trinket slots. These are two very easy slots to cover. You're going to want to get Northrend Jewel Crafting, level it to level 20, and go and learn the recipes for the figurine Ruby Hair. The figurine Ruby Hair always spawns with 2 sockets, and it gives you a sprint on use ability. It's a 30% increased movement speed for 6 seconds for 3 minutes, so generally you can use that once, maybe twice during your dungeon, depending on how long that is, but it's a quite nice boost. And then it has the 2 sockets, so you can either stack critical strike or speed gems in them, so that's a very easy option. And then next is the figurine Twilight Serpent. So this trinket itself has 32 critical strike, which will benefit for our long strider, and then 2 sockets on it, which you can socket with critical strike, which will also benefit your long strider. To be able to socket the highest possible gems in this, you're going to want to use a Relic of the Past, which will bring this up to the Shadowlands eye level on them, and then you can insert your Shadowland gems. And last but not least, we're going to come to our weapon. Our weapon is a pretty easy slot to fill. You pretty much just want to get the highest eye level weapon you can possibly get with the largest amount of critical strike to benefit the long strider as well. So we're just going to swing back and talk about professions, since we've already kind of touched on that with the Ruby figurine and the Twilight Serpent figurine. Those are really the 2 major things you want to hit with professions, is from your jewel crafting, and even then that's just kind of optional. It's up to you if you just want to min-max this the best you can. Other than that, jewel crafting does provide lockpicks, but I don't know how many dungeon chests are locked anymore. I think they unlocked most of them with one of the more recent patches. So that could be something to look into. I'm unable to confirm that at this time though. Next we'll be talking about consumables. So we have 2 best options for consumables. We have the Charged Phial of Alacrity. That is a potion from Dragonflight. Pretty easy to craft, materials aren't too expensive, and you can get most of them in a 2x4 farm if you're into that. Otherwise, I do believe in most realms where they're between 5 and 10 gold a potion. Definitely worth it though, with the movement speed you get out of them. The Phial of Alacrity increases your movement speed by up to 743, and it stacks for half hour every time you use the potion. Next we have the Fried Bonefish food. The fried bonefish that increases your movement speed by about 308, so that's about 21% movement speed, but that also changes based on your character level and how much plus speed you already have stacked. So as far as stats goes, I mentioned earlier you want to stack as much critical strike to increase your long strider perk, so you want to get as many chants or gems as you possibly can for that. Next, we're going to be talking about our gem choices. So our gem choices are all going to be Shadowland gems. In Shadowlands, there were 3 different movement speed gems in this expansion. I'll be throwing those all on the screen. The one gem stacks speed based on how many Shadowland gems that you do have equipped. So once you use all 3 Shadowland movement speed gems, you're going to want to stack the critical strike gem, which will increase your speed from that other gem, plus benefits your long strider. And then earlier I mentioned some of these enchants you're going to want to get. So for our back, you're going to want to equip the Homebound Speed. That provides speed and increased hearth speed. For your boots, you're going to want to get Minor Speed. That's a flat 10% movement speed buff. For your rings, you are going to want to get Critical Strike enchanted on both of your rings. And your wrist, there is a Devotion of Speed enchant. That'll increase your movement speed. Your plus speed to movement, rather. Now, one of the last few things I'm going to mention here is there is an add-on that you can get called Monkey Speed that'll keep track of the movement speed of your character. If you min-max this the best you possibly can, you should be able to get it close to 250%. Very easily obtainable with just the gear that I've listed in the guide. And most of it, like I mentioned, you can just purchase it off of the auction house for a reasonable price. And as I mentioned earlier, I put all of this together into a guide that's on my Discord link in the comments. That will provide links directly to everything on Wowhead if you just want to click it to see where it comes from or whatever else you may need that for. But that has all been compiled. I'll also be doing a separate YouTube video for the level 70 Speed Druid set if that's something you're looking to make. All of the equipment and everything is also included in that same guide over on Discord. I'll also be including a link to the level 70 guide. Once that is completed, that'll be in the comments as well. If you guys found this video useful at all, you could always hit that subscribe button and the notification bell just so you don't miss future videos. I also do stream on Twitch several nights a week. The link for that will be on the screen and in the description as well. So if you want to stop by, say hi, maybe possibly do a farm together or something, that'd be super cool. And until next time, take care.